Go for it.
All right, so today we're here with Wiley, and he's a little fear reactive towards new people, especially in the house. He does a lot better when he's not in the home. So some of it is the territoriality. So in the previous to this, we actually did do a leadership exercise with a different dog to get practice, and the guardians will work on this with Wiley as well to help him give up some of the control he feels like he needs to have over letting new people into the home. So the guardians will be the leaders, and he will look to them for direction, and then to be able to say that they get to decide who comes in and out of the house. But to help him get over his fear of new people, we're going to work on this in 3 parts. So this, whatever your dog is reacting to is the stimulus. So I would be the stimulus, and I'm the thing he's reacting to. We break that down in 3 different components. The visual part is first. So I want to be still. I want to make myself small. So I'm going to turn sideways to him like this and probably crouch down. So that way I'm making myself very small and non-confrontational, and I'll be nice and still. The farther you are away from the stimulus itself, so the farther he is from me, the calmer he'll be and the more he'll be able to have self-control. And we want him to be able to sit down and take a treat. The guardian will be putting a treat between her fingers like this and having his head rest on her hand and having him nibble on the treat like this while he's looking at me. We're going to slowly decrease the distance between us, and then again, once we get closer to each other, she'll give treats, and as I get closer, I'll be able to start tossing treats to him if we get to that point today. The next part is as he gets better at having people be still while he is getting closer to them, you'll start to pull him farther away again and have the person start to move around in slow motion. The first time I'm standing up will be a challenge for him, even if I'm still, because I'm taking up more space and I have a little more authority when I'm standing up. Anytime I start moving around. So remember, start off with slow motions. That might even mean moving your arm like this, doing small, tiny things to help him get comfortable with people being motion and slowly getting him closer to that person as well. And same thing with sound. So as at first, if I were to talk to him, I'd probably talk really quietly, talk to him very softly. And then over time, I might be able to start laughing, like even fake laughing, so it's in a controlled setting, and laughing like, ah. So we get him used to us being more audible, moving around to the point where you feel comfortable, that he's comfortable with all people that are coming into the home. Now remember to have him on a leash when you're doing this exercise to make sure that it's a controlled and safe setting. And as best as you can, try to keep the leash nice and loose on him so he's not pulling. When dogs are pulling on a leash, they tend to be more reactive and it gets them more aroused, so they might be more likely to be more aggressive or fearful. So try to keep the leash nice and loose and ask him to sit. So all right, so if you want to stay hand on me, I'm going to come over here and kind of crouch down. All right, you're all set to bring Wiley in. Okay. Another thing is I won't be making eye contact with him. So go ahead and pan over to Wiley. Do you see where I left the treats for you? Yeah. Go ahead and break those, squish them between your fingers so it takes him a minute to start to chew on them, and ask him to sit.
He sure smells them.
Ask him to sit.
Sit.
Good.
Give him the treat?
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and walk over so you can definitely see what Wiley's behavior is if you can't see behind the couch. There you go, perfect. I'm not going to try to make much eye contact. Give him another treat for sitting. And make sure he's looking at me when you're doing this.
So looking at you?
Looking at me.
I think we should have moved in a little bit.
That's okay. Just, I would grab all the treats in your hand. Don't give them all to him at once. Okay. Now I would stop right there. That's much closer. Now ask him to sit.
Sit.
Now have him look at me. Look towards me. There you go. Much better. Much better. So now that you're this close, I would make sure he's not closer to me than he already is, but I would crouch down on the ground like I am and remember putting your hand in that position where the treat is in his mouth and he's going like this.
Okay.
Okay, and looking at me.
Good turn around, bud.
There you go. There you go. That's exactly perfect. Good. Good. Do you see how much less reactive he is now?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Much less reactive than in the greeting video.
All right, you stole it.
Okay, go ahead and do it again. All right. So If you
like
want
these.
to take a couple steps back so you can try to get both of us in the same shot if possible, let me know when you're about out of treats.
I have 5 left.
Okay. So go ahead and move just a tad closer to me, just because I want to get him out of the confined space. That's about good. All right. There you go. Perfect. That's perfect. Now keep him on, keep the leash nice and loose on him. There you go. Not so if he were to get upset or worried that he could lunge at me, make sure that you keep him safe, but keep it loose on his body. Perfect. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the treats and just start tossing them over to him. Now remember, go ahead and keep doing that while I toss the first treat because my hand will be moving towards him, and I want him to feel comfortable. Okay, Wiley. If he moves to get it because I'm not the best tosser sometimes, that's fine. Do you see how nice and relaxed his body is right now? Notice that his body is not really stiff and rigid. Oops. I guess I'm going to have to work on my skills on tile floors. They bounce a little bit more than... Yep. Oh, they bounce a lot more than I guess. Here. Wiley. Wiley. Wiley, sit. Sit. So what I'm doing here is I'm just redirecting his attention so he feels like he knows what to do. Remember, anxiety can come from a place where he has a loss of control and is feeling fearful. And what I'm trying to do by asking him to sit is give him a sense of control.
Okay.
Now I want to wait for him to get closer for just a couple more minutes. I really want to build up that that confidence and trust.
Right here, Wiley.
Good. Perfect. Sit. Sit. Perfect. Sit. 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 So notice that he looks alert, but not in a way that tells me that he's too stressed, because when he does stand up, do you notice how his body isn't rigid? A couple more things I want to point out for the video is to look at where his tail is. It's fairly low. It is a curled tail, but I'm talking about more of the base of his tail. It's not straight up for it to be curled up along his back, especially right now. Do you see how the base of his tail is nice and kind of low around his back? And he has this slow, gentle wag. That indicates his level of energy, and his energy is fairly low. If his tail was straight up, curled up tight on his back, that means that he has a lot of energy, and if he's not comfortable with me, that means he has a lot of energy that is fear-oriented. If his tail is much lower, it means that he's calmer and he's more relaxed. And note, like, his body is a little bit more flexible. If he gets rigid, his body gets rigid, his tail is tightly coiled up, it's a good indication that he's being too fearful for me to approach. So now I'm going to practice moving my hand towards him like I'm going to pet him. So I'm going to keep one hand up and kind of just move my hand like this so he gets used to my hand coming towards him. You see that? Neither one of you will need dinner. Sit. So I would prefer to be able to move towards him a little bit closer. And go ahead and give it to him. Yeah, perfect. Sit. Perfect. So again, we want to keep the tension off of the leash if possible. That's why I keep asking to sit, so you don't have to keep it tense. Perfect. Oh boy. Now, have you experienced him taking treats from new people before?
I've never had anybody try.
Okay. I'm just curious, because I just don't want it to escalate if my hand were to make contact with him. Sometimes that's a trigger for some dogs, so that's why I'm asking first.
He's usually real gentle when he takes a treat.
Perfect. So this is something that I would say is I would say this is a huge success compared to where we started. How are you feeling?
Good. Worried that he's going to snap?
Sit. But remember, we want this to end on a good note.
Right.
So after this, we're going to actually let him go outside again so he can calm down and he ends on a good experience and he feels like that was so much fun. I just met this new person. All she did was throw treats at me the whole time. And that was amazing. So his last experience is that this was awesome and he was relaxed and happy because we don't want him to get to the point where he's stressed.
Right.
So awesome. So this is how we're going to help Wiley overcome his fear of strangers and make a positive association. Good. Awesome.
What a big difference.
You can press pause or stop whenever you're